Welcome, Leila, and thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Oh, happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Many people think of you as the new city manager, but you've been at this for a while.
Started June 1st of 21, so just shy of a year.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a native Oregonian, so I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. Lived in the same house on the same street my whole childhood, and my mom still lives there. I did my undergraduate at Portland State, where I thought I was going to join the Foreign Service, but found myself in community development and planning, and ultimately ended up going to grad school for a master's in community development and urban planning. So came back to Portland and I started my career working for Metro. So my background has really been in community development and engaging with folks to sort of help revitalize communities. So that's what I've done the majority of my career. I spent a few years at Metro. I was in the private sector for a while. I missed working at home, and so I ended up working for the Portland Development Commission in kind of the neighborhood I grew up in, helping sort of revitalize the Lentz district. And then I went to Milwaukee. I was recruited out there to help sort of advance their community vision. And at the same time, when COVID hit, our family, so I grew up coming out to Manzanita. I've been coming here since I was, a child. My daughter, learned to walk on the beach here. So really deeply connected to this town as a visitor. My aunt, who was like a grandmother, lived very near here. So my brothers and cousins and I spent a lot of time on the beach here as children, and all of our vacations were here. So deep, strong connection to Manzanita, and spent a lot more time here, as many did during COVID. And then saw the position come up just randomly, because I loved my job in Milwaukee and had a wonderful team and was doing really great work, and just randomly came across the city manager position and put a lot of heart into it and really felt like it was my calling. I felt like it was serendipity that I just happened upon it, and the things that the city was looking for, someone to help create a vision and, talk to the community about what they want to be, to build a city hall. I was working with Milwaukee. We were doing the same thing and have a lot of experience in building public projects and really trying to get organized around how our finances worked. And I felt like those were all things I could really bring to the table. But my chief and sort of main passion really is about the growth in the community and being able to contribute to this place that I hold so dear.
As city manager, how do you fit into the Manzanita governmental structure?
So Manzanita is a council manager form of government. So council's responsibility is to make policy, and my responsibility is to implement that policy. And so as the city's chief administrator, if you think about it in the context of, say, a private business, I'm your CEO. So I run the organization, and I am directed by the board of directors, which is your council, and this community is effectively the shareholders, and so they're all part of it. And so my job is, again, to implement policy. So I implement programs. So we develop programs such as the short-term rental program. We oversee the implementation and the enforcement of that. I oversee all city operations. So I oversee the police department, the water division, building and planning, as well as all of the administrative aspects of the city, from finance to issuing, working with the Planning Commission to issue permits.
What are your goals for Manzanita's future?
Well, I can say that the goals that I've worked with the City Council to set this year, we have 3, and those are based on sort of my time in the job now, the goals that the council had previously, and where we see ourselves going. And so I have 3 chief goals that we're working towards. The first I'm calling Level Up Manzanita. And what I mean by that is that we're an organization that has some room to grow in terms of adapting to modern technology and being able to increase our effectiveness and our efficiency. And we have a great deal of opportunity ability right now to do that. And we have a public that is highly educated, that is highly interested, and has a great deal of interest and demands for things like records and information and things that can now be really made easily accessible with the right tools. The second initiative I have is Budget Forward Manzanita. So the big elephant in the room, right, is that we really do have a tax base that is reliant on short-term rental income. The average household pays here about $125 to the city in their taxes out of their probably $3,000 tax bill. So we have one of the lowest tax rates in the state of Oregon. And so one of the things we really need to do is to look at what are our alternative funding sources to that aside from short-term rentals, because we understand the impacts that livability of those have. We also understand how important it is to have those folks in this community as well. So it's, I think, one of the chief things that we'll be focusing on is advancing towards that. And I'll be working with the budget committee and with the council to establish a long-term revenue committee that will work with me, and ideally we'll hire a consultant eventually to evaluate all of our sort of sources and uses and what opportunities we might have to determine other sources of funding. And then the third thing is Envision Manzanita. And so this is, to me, I think, one of the most important things that we'll be doing that will set the goals and the trajectory for growth for this community for the next 20 to 30 years. So it's an update of our vision and of our comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan really sets the stage for how the community will develop over time. It sets the stage for the enabling ordinances that result in the built environment around us. And those plans haven't been updated in more than 2 decades. And our community, I think a lot of what we're hearing out there is a real concern that we want to be sure that what our plans say reflect who we are. And it's an important time, I think, right now to go out and start asking those questions and engaging with folks. I feel like I'm uniquely suited to do that, you know, and I'm in a place and at a time where the need is so strong. And I think my ability and this community's ability to come together is going to be what really leads to our success, is that we have to be able to come together to be able to talk about these hard issues, to come up with policy choices and decisions, and to move forward so that we have more control and we understand and we can project out better what the future holds for us. Because this town has a lot of promise, and I firmly believe that we can get there, and I really hope that I'll be able to help.
Leila, good luck, and thank you for speaking with us today.
Well, thank you, Drew, for taking the time, and it's been a pleasure.